Now, an interview with Eva Grossman. Eva is the co-founder and CEO of the Centre of Democracy and Peacebuilding. She's also an advisory board member for the Women's Narratives Project and the Oxford Interfaith Forum. Welcome to Peacekeepers Live, Eva. We're so thrilled to have you with us today.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you very much. And what a privilege to be part of this amazing day.
Fantastic. Fantastic. It's lovely that you're here. The last time I think we were together was at Shakespeare's Globe Theatre when we celebrated 20 years of Peace One Day.
Yeah, and what a wonderful event it was. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for all the work you do over the years. I noticed that you will be soon celebrating 25 years since establishment of Peace One Day, so we are rooting for you.
Okay. I've got to be careful that you don't suddenly interview me. So but thank you for those kind words. Yeah, 25 years on the road is a long time, but what an amazing journey for you to have the privilege of being able to speak to people like yourself or Princess Angelica or, whoever it is, Mark Pillane and all the amazing people on today's show. So you've had an incredible journey yourself, building peace. Could you tell us about that journey and what makes you so passionate about keeping the peace?
Yeah, so I often say that I was born in Poland, made in London and toughened up in Belfast. So, perhaps when I started my journey over 25 years ago, I did not think that I will end up working in peacebuilding, especially in Northern Ireland. I was born and raised in Poland, and I witnessed enormous geopolitical changes, collapse of Berlin Wall, our peaceful transition from communist to democracy. We were filled with hope. So definitely my early years formed my way of being and thinking. So whenever I arrived in Belfast in Northern Ireland, just over 20 years ago, very quickly I started getting involved in different initiatives. I just felt sense of responsibility. It was a post-conflict society. Shortly after signing of Good Friday Agreement, ending 30 years of inter-community violence. And, the place was full of hope and the spirit of possibility. New people started arriving to Northern Ireland. So my early initiatives focus on integration of migrant workers into the wider community. This led to establishment of award-winning Unite Against Hate campaign, challenging prejudice and hate crime. I then ended up working at the Northern Ireland Assembly, developing capacity building programs for elected members, trying to help them to become better legislators. And all of this led to establishment of the Centre for Democracy and Peacebuilding just over 8 years ago. Our two main objectives are to deal with some of the outstanding issues of the Irish peace process. It is never a done deal. And then to share our experience internationally with others in conflict, places like Lebanon, places like Colombia, and further afield.
Thank you. How do you stay focused on peacekeeping and peace building when all around you, humanity seems to be doing the opposite?
In late November 1943, my grandmother received a telegram informing her that Johann, her husband, was killed in Treblinka concentration camp. My grandfather was just one of over 40,000 people killed in a space of 24 hours. It was one of the biggest massacres of the Second World War. And whenever I look back at my own family history, it puts things in perspective. It's, how can I honor my ancestors and how can I become a better ancestor myself? My journey through, my early days in Poland, then working in Northern Ireland, it's something what, as all humans, we have to take responsibility for making sure that, and remembering that we are capable of a very, very terrible things, but we're also capable of things which are amazing and which can help to build a better world for everybody.
So every day you get up, you think of your grandfather and of course, those who tragically suffer, on a daily basis, and that's where you draw your inspiration from.
Absolutely. Earlier today, we seen a video, about peacekeepers, about those who lost their lives, and we have to remember that peace and democracy it does has its cost, and it is important that we never give up. I remember not only working in Northern Ireland, as I mentioned before, we are just marking 25th anniversary of Belfast Good Friday Agreement, which ended up conflict. I remember traveling to Colombia shortly after their peace agreement was signed, and they said, Eva, it has been 3 months, things are not moving quite, fast enough. I was like, well, guys, it actually takes time. We can never take eyes off the importance of building relationships, of building peace, and on so many different levels. It is all about developing and building relationships, and it is important that we always, every day, I do wake up with a new sense of hope and possibility and joy. And this is, as I said, I'm trying to not only honor my own grandfather, but like everybody else who made enormous sacrifices.
What's the next chapter for you? I mean, what do you wish to achieve in the next 10 years?
Well, we are part of the journey. One would say that we live in the best of times and worst of times. We almost in a period of interregnum. We're noticing that all over the world there is restlessness. Things are changing. The old order is adjusting, and the new things are not yet born. And I truly, truly hope that the next few years will bring opportunities for us to develop peace with our planet, with Earth, peace with between countries, peace with technology. We know that there are enormous changes happening around us. Peace with each other and peace with ourselves. As I mentioned before, I grew up during the period of amazing hope, everywhere, from South Africa to collapse of Berlin Wall and so on. So I hope that I truly, truly hope that the next 10 years, as we journey together, will be filled with so much hope as well.
Yeah, well, listen, thank goodness you do what you do, right? I mean, you're an inspiration to so many, and I mean, look, I've done 140 or so countries in the last 25 years, and I've met such extraordinary people like today, and I feel privileged and honoured. But you and I would both say that peace building and peacekeeping, we need as many peacemakers to come forward, don't we? On a daily basis, know that your actions count, that you can make a huge contribution. And I just really hope, Eva, we get to that point where everyone just realizes, and of course they are. I mean, we see it with massive movements that people like Greta have inspired, where people are really realizing that their actions count, that their mobile phone is like a lightsaber, isn't it? It's a tool. It's a kind of a weapon to make a real considerable difference. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, everyday action matter. It's like we all matter. We have to have remember that we've got a shared sense of responsibility. We've got the shared sense of humanity. It's journeying together. Like our everyday actions, how we treat each other. From the moment we wake up, how we treat ourselves, how we treat our families, those around us, our co-workers, how we treat our planet, and what do we do for our local communities. Each one of us is a peace builder. Each one of us is a peacekeeper.
Okay. So funny, my little dog just come over, Eva, was drinking the water. You going to say hello to the little dog? She just came over. Wow. She's just drinking my water. She's a little peacemaker, aren't you? Funny little thing. Okay, so
yeah, animals bring so much joy. I was out for a walk earlier today
isn't it sweet? Everybody around certainly creates a lot of peace in my life. So anyway, there we are. But let's get back onto our interview. Thank you, Blue. So, what peacekeeping initiatives, that resulted in a successful peace agreement that you've witnessed, Eva, is your source of inspiration?
Certainly, something bigger like Good Friday Agreement, signed 25 years ago. It wasn't an easy journey. It took years of talks before people get around the negotiating table. There was a lot of international involvement. So Good Friday Agreement addressed years of, disturbed historic relationships. Senator George Mitchell helped to broker it. There was, hours and hours of conversations. And whenever I ask Senator Mitchell, who I had the privilege of meeting and talking to, I did ask him, what was the most important element of brokering the deal and, achieving what he achieved together with many others. There were literally hundreds of people involved behind the scenes. And he said that, the most important thing was to be a good listener. So, I keep it always on the back of my head and trying to, whoever I interact with, to listen. But one of our recent initiatives in Northern Ireland, initiative by the Center for Democracy and Peace Building, a few years ago, we established a fellowship program for political, business, and civic leaders in Northern Ireland. People who are perhaps in mid-career. We take 24 fellows a year for a very intensive program. 12 of them come from political parties across the political spectrum, 12 of them for a wider civic society, from businesses, NGOs, and so on. The program is supported, it's a public-private partnership, so I cannot stress highly enough the importance of engagement of the business community in building peace, in building stronger, more cohesive societies. And I find inspiration from our fellows every day, the way they interact with each other, the opportunities when they can talk, when they can develop relationships away from the cameras, away from the sectarian divide. And what is quite shocking, that some of our fellows were born after Good Friday Agreement, and yet they still did not spend enough time with people from different side of the community. The division is still there. The place still needs a lot of healing and reconciliation. And, sometimes receiving a text message or an email thanking me for taking the initiatives and developing the program, bringing people together, hearing the stories, how people's lives, perceptions changed, that, for the first time, they perhaps met or interacted with a politician from a very different side and a very different political opinion. And we can see how much polarization there is across the world, how much tension, and creating those safe spaces for conversations, for opportunities to just sometimes to have a coffee together or a glass of wine, or going on a trip. I know that our fellows from all the cohorts we had so far are meeting outside the program, and I know that some of them will become ministers, will be in positions of power going forward. So it is a great joy to see how those things can work. And my own journey started by signing up to one of very similar programs. We need those moments where we are, of catalyst, or where we can really take off.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Simon Ward was speaking earlier with Scilla Elworthy, who of course and the business plan for peace that she talks about. I mean, the role of business is so crucial. I mean, look at what's happening to our businesses, at this present time with the world the way it is. I mean, it is not profitable, right? Peace is profitable when we can talk, when we can trade, when we can meet, when we can travel, when we can communicate freely. That's when business thrives. So it's wonderful that you're doing the work. It's wonderful you're doing the work that you're doing, and of course, we're pleased. We should mention the UN Global Compact. I think it's 13,000 businesses that are a part of that amazing initiative as well. So I really hear you, Eva. Businesses becoming involved in the establishment of a more peaceful and sustainable world with its consumers, its B2Bs, and its workforce is crucially important, isn't it?
Absolutely, we've got 5 big corporates in Northern Ireland at the moment involved in the program, and I can see how much they received of being involved as well. Northern Ireland as a post-conflict society is really developing. There is a lot of direct foreign investment. The film industry is thriving. people are creating jobs, and they know that unless there is a peace and stability and cohesion in the community, those businesses will not be able to thrive. So it's win-win for everybody. It's it also gives me a massive joy, not only to see my fellows and the wider community and the political classes of working together, but also see how much employees of those corporate entities are receiving as a result of being involved in the program. Sometimes co-hosting sessions, sometimes participating in those sessions, and how we can together develop better policies to take care of each other, to take care of the planet, and to make sure that Northern Ireland going forward is more stable and peaceful.
Eva, we're running out of time, but before we go, please, is there anything we as individuals can do to support your work? Where do people find out more about the work, and how can they join in?
Well, you can go and visit democracyandpeace.org. It's our website. You can follow up on social media, but I've got two small requests for today, two calls of action. One is to go out today and give somebody, either share a smile, give them courage or hope. So action to look after somebody, perhaps text somebody who you didn't talk for a while. And the second call of action today is to take care of yourself. Just go outside, take a deep breath. If you can, go for a walk. And let's remember that, we cannot be peacekeepers and peace builders unless we take care of ourselves. And Jeremy, this also applies to you because you work so hard. So please make sure you do something. You cuddle your dog for a little bit longer than usual.
Well, one thing's for sure, after this I'll give Blue a cuddle and I'll take her for a walk. And that absolutely, having a dog is definitely how I find my peace. Eva, we have to go. You're amazing. Thank you so much for your inspiring words.